Welcome to episode 32 of the Slowest Fast RC podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Mr. Lee Setzer is going to be joining us here shortly to talk about everything going on in his life, things and stuff, Silver State, RC romance. It's going to be a good time. You guys have anything to add?
Bless you. Bless you again. And your body fell off.
Roll the intro.
Disclaimer. You're about to listen/watch a podcast hosted by a group of friends who tend to use vulgar language and profanity, and also enjoy pounding adult beverages. Viewer discretion is advised. Lastly, we may be making some bold statements. All views and statements made in this podcast do not reflect the views of any sponsors, guests, followers, or any supporters of this podcast. So be cool and don't get offended. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy.
RC racing is boring to watch.
So I wanted to start out asking a whole bunch of questions that are non-RC related. Blondes or brunettes?
Take the win! Aiden in the two spot! A last turn
Oh, that's Davey. Goodbye. Everyone, welcome our guest, the fabulous Lee Setzer, Sparko driver, and JC. And who do you run for electronics?
Coyote, and then ProTech batteries.
Who's your engine?
ProTech
Word.
RM.
Makes sense. Welcome, Lee. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
Nice. I'll just start off with the question we ask everyone. How'd you get to this? How'd you get to this point? Like, what got you into racing and all that?
My father got me into racing. He's had tracks for since he was 18, and yeah, I mean, for as long as I can remember. I think my dad says it as a joke, but I think it's like the real thing is I was old enough to hold a radio, like physically keep my arms up, is when he put one in my hands. So like I've been driving for forever. And it just started off just kind of pretty much like how everyone does. Like, just I got like a little monster truck from like Hobby Town, and it was a Hobby Zone monster truck, like nothing fancy, but I would just go like back and forth and do wheelies with it, and then I finally like broke it, and they don't sell many parts for that thing. So um my dad kind of got me something cheap to see if it was something that I was interested in, because he was running races and stuff like that, and had a track. So I was pretty hooked from the start.
So, like, what age would you say you actually like started competitively racing?
Um, so I actually did competitive dirt oval for the longest time, and I did that when I was a kid. And I would say probably from like 10 to like 15. Um, I raced oval, and then like that 15, when I was 15 years old, and then like to 16, I kind of went to off road, and I just like never looked back. I just thought off road was like the coolest thing in the world. And I think mainly just because I had done oval for so long, and I just didn't know like there was really much more out there. Like, I knew off road exists, but when you're doing one category of racing, you don't really look outside of that category.
Right.
Um, and then I did one off-road race, I think when I was like 15 or 16, and ever since then, I've just been doing off-road. So I would say about 10, I was doing oval pretty competitively, like, um, doing a lot of races in Florida, some races out of Florida, nothing too crazy, but um, yeah, it's about 10 years old.
Okay.
When you first started racing off-road, what cars did you run back then?
So my first race, my dad bought me a ready to run Durango. I'm assuming all you guys have heard of Durango.
Yeah.
But It was the DEX 210. It was the RTR one, and it had the Team Powers electronics in it. And I actually won my first off road race. So it was the two wheel drive buggy, and it was just a club race. But at the time as a kid, it meant a lot because um, I didn't. These guys I was racing with were like veterans. They've been doing it forever, and they had the uh, the B5 and all the cool hop up parts and the JC tires and all the best of the best stuff. And I just had like a ready to run car, and it meant a lot because I was new to it and it was my first race. And yeah, that was my first class was two wheel drive buggy, and I ran that for the longest time, which I'm actually glad I did, because that I think that class teaches you like a lot of patience with the throttle and the steering. Um, and then I went to an e-buggy, so I went from two wheel drive buggy to e-buggy. Um, I ran e-buggy and two wheel drive buggy for a little while, and then I kind of started like going to the um super like regional races in Florida. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the J Concept Super Cup stuff.
No, I
So
haven't.
Maybe I have.
it was a big 10 scale series in Florida. So like you know Damon Borkowitz, when he was a kid, he was like the fastest dude in Florida. And then obviously you had like JR Mitch, who has always been really good. Jason Rona would race in that series. Paul Wynn, Ryan Eckert, um, Landon Lewis, like all these. They Most of these guys don't race anymore, but at the time, um, they were super super fast. And so I started going to that stuff, and I kind of got really heavy into like just 10 scale, so just two wheel drive and four wheel drive because um, at that time period in those years in Florida, like 10 scale was huge. So there were a bunch of 10 scale tracks. There was, everyone was racing 10 scale. The competition was super fierce. So yeah, I ran 10 scale for the longest time. Then I kind of dabbled in both. Um, yeah, and then I would say about 3 4 years ago, I pretty much transitioned to only 8 scale. So
It sounds like you had talent right off the bat when it came to racing, and that led to some of your early success. At what point did you start getting into like setup and part swaps and stuff like that that kind of fine tune things?
yeah, I would say like when I was a kid, my parents, we didn't have the most amount of money. We just my parents couldn't afford um, to send me to every race possible on the face of the planet. So Jason Rona and Paul Wynn from J Concepts, because I was local in Florida, like Jason put me on the team, and him and Paul like really took me underneath their wing and kind of said, okay, like, well, we're gonna kind of propel you into the furthest you can go with with what we can do. Um, and hanging out with those guys, Paul is a old time on-road racer, and he's obviously super good in off-road, and Jason is Jason Rona. Um, and those guys are like very meticulous and very smart, and their attention to detail is like second to none. And hanging around with those guys, like when I would travel with them, I would fly to the races with Jason when he would take me to some races, and then I would ride with them to some of the Florida races. I think that's when I really got pretty heavy into like the learning the setups and you know attention to detail on the cars, like making sure everything is perfect and clean and like everything works and everything's free. And that's, I think, hanging out with those guys really um kind of made me want to be more meticulous with my program. And that just leads to everything, right? So it's like you want to have your car look the best when you show up to the track, and you want it to be clean on your bench and body clean and tires clean, car clean. You want it to be as smooth as possible. Everything's free, like everything's perfect. And um, yeah, hanging out with those guys, around that 17, 16-year-old range, like when I was with them, I think that's when I really started kind of buckling down on getting my program as like self-efficient and tight as possible.
Alex?
I had one. So you mentioned how your dad pretty much had track since he was 18. Did he
Yeah.
was he like, like a legend or a fast guy back in his day or anything like that, or
um, I don't think my dad's gonna watch this, so I can say this. No.
did he like
No, I
take it
mean,
serious though?
yeah, no, he took it really serious. I mean, he when I say he had tracks, like he had oval tracks,
Yeah.
because in Florida, um, in this just like all forms of racing, it kind of goes through waves, right? One category is big for a few years, it kind of dips, another category is big. Um, but he always liked oval,
Mhm.
and he always thought it was cool, and so he always had oval tracks. Um, I would say that he did he did try, like he was competitive, and he obviously wanted to do good just like we all do. But yeah, I wouldn't say he's like a legend by any means in the racing, like on track. Now, I mean, in my eyes, I think my dad's a legend,
Of
and I
course.
I think in a lot of people's eyes, just based off his whole life, what he's done, I think he's a legend to a bunch of people in terms of his business and his real car stuff. Um, but yeah, he tried. He was competitive in his class, in his category. I'll say that.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. Mike, do you have anything at the moment?
Not at the moment, no. Taylor stole it.
Taylor, you got anything?
I kind of want to say a little chronological. Some of my questions are for later in the career.
Okay. I got a couple towards the beginning of the career. So you start racing. Rona and Paul are dragging you, helping you out. So
Yeah,
you've been with JC for pretty much ever, then I assume.
yeah. I ran for VP Pro um for a good, I would say, few years, maybe 2, 3, in the beginning of my career. But yeah, ever since that, I've been with JC, and I think those guys are just awesome. I think I tell people all the time, and I tell Jason too, like, when we talk on the phone or something, I always tell him I appreciate everything that he's done for me, because I would not be here if it wasn't for him and Paul, and just everyone at JC. His Jason's wife Allison, Mac, just all those people at the office, just always supporting me, and yeah, Jason and Paul, I would not be here if it wasn't for them. So yeah, I've been on JC for ever, and I have no plans on going anywhere. So
Awesome. So
yeah,
what like year would you say started your like professional career in racing?
2025. I'm dead serious.
Well, I mean, okay.
Because
Re-
because when you say professional, it means that
yeah.
you're getting a paycheck,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
And you know, towards my later time, on Associated, I was getting a little bit of a travel help and stuff like that. But no, Sparko gave me a great opportunity that I'm super grateful for, and I feel blessed that I can do this and call it my second job,
Mm-hmm.
and make something out of it, because just like we all sit here, it's hard to do something for free per se, um, and continue to do it if you're taking time off work, and you're not making any money, right? You can't
Mm-hmm.
pay the bills going to a race. So um yeah, 2025 in my definition is when I feel like I really became a professional.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so
What
go ahead, Mike.
but what would you like, so 2025 is that moment.
Hmm.
What what would you say is like your breakout moment to push it to that point?
Yeah.
um I don't honestly, I don't really feel like I have a breakout race. If that's what, if that is, I'm assuming that's what you mean.
Yeah,
Like a break.
if it came down to that, or if it's just like compiling things leading up to it,
Like
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 Yeah,
when you
I
were like,
think.
what
I'm
do you
gonna
think?
chase the circuit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um. Well, in terms of just chasing it, man, I've won. I've wanted to do this as a career and a job for the longest time. I'm very passionate about this hobby, and I love every aspect of it: the cleaning, the rebuilding, the wrenching, the racing, the late nights, the early mornings. During times like getting 4 hours of sleep at Psycho Nitro Blast probably isn't the best thing ever, but it's when you look back on it, you usually have a good time, and yeah, I love the whole industry as a whole. I would say like a breakout moment. I don't think I have one, but I think just my overall hard work throughout the years. I think it's important, and I think like the guys over at Sparko, I think they see that. I think they see that the passion that I have, and how hard I do work, and how hard I want it to work out for myself. This hobby and me. Um, so I would say there's not one moment, but I think it's a pile of things that led to this happening.
Mhm.
What would you say is your best win, single win of your career so far?
Um, that's a great question. Um, Man, you make me think now, Taylor. I gotta think.
Good.
Fall gnats, adrenaline, something like that.
Man, I don't know. I would probably say I want. Okay, I'll give you a race. Um, I didn't win. I got second, but
No, I count that. Yeah.
I would say that I think the one that was last year that really was like built a little bit of confidence in myself. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like I could fight for podiums and fight for TQ. Actually, SIC when I TQ'd e-buggy, that was my
Hell
first
yeah.
event I TQ'd, like a big event.
Yeah.
That one actually, for sure propelled the confidence in myself. Like, oh man, I can do this. Like I
Yeah.
had the outright pace. I drove 5 minutes clean, and I TQ'd over you know two of the best drivers that are ever going to do it, Dakota and Ryan. Um,
Mhm.
no, I think I finished like 10th, which is super awesome. But it's not awesome. That was a joke, by the way. That's terrible to TQ and finish. um, but I think just TQing that event, it just brought just a lot of self confidence. Like okay, I can do this, right? And that matters, I think, in this hobby. And then I would say the second one, the other one that stands out to me is when I got second at PNB and truck uh, last year, my first race with Sparko.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was really cool because that was my highest finishing result at a race time race. So
And it's a great
There's quite a
showing.
few. I was going to say there's quite a few where I'm watching on Race Time, Elite Entertainment, whatever, Mod Media, whoever's recording it, and then I'll see you pop in top five like all the time. Like Wicked Weekend, I think, was another one
yep.
where you were up there, you were fighting for podium positions and kind of back and forth, all that. Like, you've been kicking ass, man. Ever since you switched to Sparko, like it seems to be
Yeah,
working.
I've been I've been trying, it's just a lot of hard work.
Mhm.
And it's just, racing, any form of racing is just it's an uphill battle constantly, right? So just when you think, okay, this weekend clicked, like I got it figured out, you go to the next event a week later at a different track, and you might not have it figured out. And it's just a constant uphill battle. And I think I try to remind myself because I get really hard on myself. Like I want to do the best that I can do. And sometimes when I don't have really good weekends, I'm like really frustrated personally because I'm like, I know that I could do better than this. I know I can drive better than that. I know I shouldn't have made that mistake, or, so on and so forth. But Yeah, I just been trying, man. It's just hard. It's hard. It's constant, um, and it just never stops. So you really have to, in my opinion, I think you really have to love it to just want to continue to do it.
So I got a question about Sparco Associated, if you guys don't mind. So you went from Associated, which is an extremely big team, like
Mhm.
huge, massive team, lots of drivers sponsored by them. And then it could arguably be one of the best RC brands, of course, Ongaro, winning worlds, things like that. And
Yep.
then you went to Sparco, new brand, obviously doing really well with it, but a much smaller team.
Mhm.
What are the pros and cons that you've discovered of being on a really big team with a known car and then a really small team? Obviously, other than being paid compared to not before, but
Yeah, I would say like obviously Associated is probably the biggest RC car brand and has been um for quite a while.
Yeah, 30, 40 years.
And yeah, and um they've done a really good job. I have no ill will towards them. And I think like pro wise, the positives is, when you have a team with a lot of drivers, whether it's a lot of pro guys, just a lot of um other sponsored guys that are there. um it helps because you have a big atmosphere where everyone helps each other out, and you have all these team guys. um you know it's nice to bounce ideas off of everyone constantly. um i I would also say too, like, having a bigger team is better in the sense of like you're self wise, you have a lot more reassurance that, like, okay, like everyone knows what they're doing. This is going to be here forever, yada yada yada, right? Like if you go to a big team like Associated, like no one thinks Associated is going to fall over tomorrow, right? I mean, they've been around forever. They're still here. They're going to be here, and they're doing a great job. I would say the positives on a small team is, well, one, if you are a good driver, but you're in a big team, it's hard to kind of get, like, to have the light kind of shine through, if that makes any sense. Because,
Yeah,
being on
100%. Yeah.
Associated, it's like, okay, I'm a good driver, but I'm not Spencer Rivkin.
yeah.
Spencer is a two-time world champ, multi-time national champ. Dude's dialed right. Super fast, super quick, super knowledgeable, and he's proven himself. Then, you got, Aiden Horn on the team now, and you have Davey Bada, and you have all these. You had Dustin Evans. Like when I was on Associated, Dustin was there. So, um, you have all these guys on the team, and then not to mention Ongaro, Kira, all these European guys, right? Like they're so associated, and all these big teams have so many fast dudes that it's like it's really hard to kind of break through and kind of get that one-on-one attention, which is fair, right? Like Spencer, Spencer's the guy. Like he's the one producing the results. You're gonna go make sure he's okay. That's just the way racing is. It's in any form of racing, F1, whatever. It's just how it is. So for me, when the opportunity came for Sparko, I kind of knew that I have to make something happen for myself to pay the bills a little bit, and get me a step further in the life that I want to build. Buying a house, getting married, starting a family. Like, you need to make those decisions. Well, I felt like I had to make those decisions sooner than later to set myself up and try to accumulate as much as possible. And going to a small team, it's like, okay, for me, I get the one-on-one attention, more because it's way smaller, right? There's not as many pro guys, there's not as many guys in general. So you kind of get a little bit more attention. You get a lot more attention actually. And you get that like one-on-one, like, hey, I'm here for you. We're what do you want to do? Like, okay, let's do like you get way more um, just people helping you in that sense. And I think that's really kind of it in terms of like the positives. And honestly, there's really no cons. Like, it just kind of depends on, you know, I guess for a driver, like where you're at in your career and whatever decision is the best for you. And if you feel like that's the best decision, then you got to do that. And if you feel like, okay, this is not the best decision, then don't do it.
The the only you could tell me I'm wrong too, by the way, but the only con that I think that, like, comparing Associated, say Sparko, the only con that I can see right off the top is the speed of product development at that point. Just because when you have so
Yeah.
many people driving the associated car, you have, hundreds of people trying different things
Mhm.
versus 10 people, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I could,
it,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, that if you're going to say
I,
something, it's fine.
I could absolutely see where, I see where you're coming from because
Yeah.
that was, to be honest with you, that was my fear, or that was one of the things that I was maybe a little timid about, when I was making this decision. Because you're right, right? You have so many you have so much more people and reach to like get stuff farther along down the pipeline. But the guys over at Sparko, like they don't mess around. Like they're awesome. They say, okay, here, try this. Is this good or bad? And okay, this is great. This is great. Okay, cool. We're gonna make this and release it. Or
Yeah.
it's not very good. Like I think we need to do this or tweak this. Or like, okay, we're gonna tweak it. We'll tweak it this week. Like those guys are super awesome. All the guys back in Taiwan, super amazing. Jaden, Richard Yang, like those guys are awesome. And so I could see where that would be a con. For my particular case, it isn't a con because um, they're just on it. Like they just want
Yeah.
to, this company wants to produce the best cars, um, best possible cars for people, and they want to do it. Um, and they're not like um, what's the word, like shied away from criticism. So like if
Yeah.
if
Yeah. Yeah.
if if they go like, hey, is this good or not? No, it's not good. They're like, okay, no problem. What needs to be done.
Yeah.
So
A lot of
And
that
I
I'm
know on
viewing as
like,
oh, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
yeah, and say on like to say the flip side of this things too, right? So like,
mm,
at least for us on the East Coast, like, I mean, we know you, right? We know Lee. We also know Schreffler, right?
yep,
But I guarantee you, like, if anybody in our region wanted to try a Sparko, they could either talk to you or Schreff and be like, "Hey, out of the box, what do I need to change?" You could just
yep.
blast it off, do this. It's gonna be dialed, you know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Actually, I mean, you can ask Alex. He was there yesterday. The amount of Sparkos that are at Adrenaline now it's massive.
Oh yeah, it's easily the biggest brand there.
Like when I
Really?
joined oh yeah, when I joined the team, well, before I joined the team, I mean, people have heard of the car, but
There were like
I
one
think
or two
people are
there.
yeah, one or two probably. There was a lot of guys from like the New York area that were running them before I was.
Hmm.
Um,
We're all
but
friends with Kevin Winters there, who was
yeah,
kind of like the originator in the area. So
yeah, yep. Kevin was running it I mean, there was a lot of
Yeah,
people running it
Rohan was on it, I
before
believe,
me.
too.
Yep, Rohan, Corey Williams was
Yeah, those guys.
another guy that was on it. But when I first joined, like I think 10 to 15 people I let drive my car. I'm sure Schreff has probably had more numbers than that, right? Because he's been on the team way longer, and
Hmm.
um, but yes, you're absolutely right. Like people have drove my car and they've really enjoyed it, and I think that in itself, um, it helps a lot with growing a brand. And all the people, all the locals at Adrenaline, like I love all those guys. Like I give a lot of them a hard time, but because that's just me. But all those guys are good people, and I do anything I can to help anyone in that store within my means, right? And I give whatever I can do, I want to do it. So yes, it is crazy like how many just the transition from like being zero. I think Alex actually had been there one time when right before I had joined that there was none, and then he came this
Yeah.
weekend, and it's like the whole shop is just full of Spargo cars.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like, and that even in my eyes, that helps a lot, especially for a small brand with going back on product development, because now you, as one of the top drivers for the team, has direct eyes at adrenaline of a full range of skill levels driving the Sparko cars and trucks. So you can see whether it's weak points or an adjustment everyone's making out of the box, and you can send that directly back to headquarters and be like, hey, this seems to be the thing that 100% of the people that's running this car is doing. So it's just more data for
Yeah.
the company.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've actually done that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've stuff that I've changed out of the box, and when people buy the car, I'm like, hey, um, this is what this is what we're doing. Just for future kit, our next new kit or whatever. I think we should implement this or whatever, or like here's a weak point. So you're absolutely right. It makes it a little bit easier to kind of pinpoint. Okay, what is if there is something wrong, like, okay, what is wrong? Like, what is the main thing that is a weak point or that people are changing or whatever. So,
Taylor, I saw you writing something down.
Yeah, I got like three different things, I guess, to unpack out all this. One of the things, going from Associated, like a big company, to Sparko, that I've kind of noticed, companies maybe like Associated will kind of send out memos to all their teammates and sponsor drivers and stuff like that, where they kind of want them to only run certain ways, like maybe when the B7 first came out and people were running B6 front ends, I think that was like a no-no, things like that. They were very particular in their ways versus I see the direction Sparko's going with Scheffler and Kevin that I talked to, and they're just pushing for everybody to have like the most perfect car, and they're taking the criticism and they're applying that to create one of the best cars that they can possibly make. So I agree to that. That's how I see it from that.
yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I said earlier, like the Sparko guys, they want to make the best possible vehicle they can. Obviously, we're not running a bunch of different brand parts on our car. I will say we run HB springs, and we run Techno springs on the truck, but there is
Everybody
no like
runs techno springs on the truck.
It seems like everybody runs Techno
Yes.
Springs and everybody
yes,
runs Hot
everybody
Bodies,
does.
Buggy Springs. Yeah.
But yeah, they just want the best possible car, and if something out there is better, like they like that idea or whatever, it's not shunned upon like oh, you really can't do that per se. If we figure out something like, hey, this is better, they're like, okay, well, we're gonna make our own version and we're gonna test it out and let's see what it does.
You guys running orange in the front, green in the rear on the truck?
Opposite, green in the front, orange in the rear.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit, when you were first talking about getting a paycheck, trying to set yourself up for the future, you mentioned buying a house, getting married, starting a family, things like that. Are
Yeah.
there some announcements or anything that you want to make on this podcast, Lee?
Well, one, I'm not having a kid, so we'll just get that out of the way. I'm not having a kid right now.
Well, I wasn't sure where we were
No,
going.
no. But I'm just saying, like, I am 25. I have to think about my future, and I'm not saying that I'm making a crap ton of money here, but if I can make any little bit while I'm still racing, why not? If I can make something from this,
Old
if I'm
stuff,
doing it.
$5 coffee.
No, that was free. I had points.
Okay.
Sponsored by Starbucks.
Yeah.
No, but if I could make something out of it while I'm doing it, why not?
Yeah.
I am engaged though. I'm pretty sure most people probably know that.
I didn't know until I saw that
For
big
those
ass
that
rock.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am engaged and I do want to move out and get my own house this year. That is my goal. So
Cool.
Um,
yeah.
can I steal real quick? Because
I guess.
I've always wondered, how did you and Hannah meet? It, we can cut this out if you don't want to make it public, but
No, it's fine. No. 2019 um Ohio Nationals 10 scale. That's
go
Was
when
she
on.
well,
working for J
actually
Concepts at the time?
that's
Or
false. That's false.
okay.
That's false.
Do you want me to
I
cut
can't
that
remember the
out?
year. No. We really started talking there, so it's not like super false. But when I first saw her was it was AMS one year, and it might have been 2018, or it might have been it actually might have been 2019 AMS. I can't remember. It was those two races were close in the sense of like I saw her and then I started talking to her at the next event. But yeah, I saw her at AMS was the first time I saw her. Didn't talk to her, but then 2019 she was there again, and then I started talking to her.
Aw, how cute.
Thank
Nerds.
you.
Okay, I was just curious. And then
On
No, I mean,
and then you hitched a ride to Virginia.
yeah, how did the
yeah.
whole Virginia adrenaline, all that get started? And now the adrenaline's kind of your home base.
Yeah, so basically, so she got an offer from J Concepts to be the photographer and like media person. And JC is based in Florida, and I was living in Florida at the time still, so we were kind of, well, not kind of, we were long distance. She was still here in Virginia, and I was in Florida with my parents. And then she took the job offer, so she moved down to Florida and she started working with JC. And so we would we would see each other when she moved down to Florida pretty much every weekend. And then we would also go to events together too, right? Because the events she was working at, I was going to as well. So we would travel together, be at the event together. And then I would say a year, she did a full year in Florida, and then she was like, I think I want to move back to Virginia. And then, she was able to still do her JC stuff at the same time, just remote. She didn't really need to be in the office. And I was like, well, I was 22 at the time. I was like, well, I got to move out at some point, and I'm definitely not doing going back to long distance. So I guess I'm coming with you. And that was it. That's pretty much how it happened.
Nice.
Rented a U-Haul truck, um, loaded all of her stuff, all of my stuff in there, and yeah, drove. I want to say it's 16 hours, 15 hours to Virginia. Sounds about right. Something like that. So
We love a good
Nice.
RC love story.
yeah, it's a magical one. I tell you that. I'm very lucky to have her. She's a amazing person.
I hope she hears that, bro.
Well, I tell her every night, but
I'm joking.
she probably did hear it.
You'll have to clip that out, make it
Yeah.
a reel, just so that
Yeah.
Lee can share it, so that
Yeah.
she sees proof.
Yeah.
I swear I tell my friends.
No, she knows.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for her, and she has made my life better in more ways than one for sure. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
On the subject of you converting everyone at Adrenaline to run Sparko, you said how many people were driving your car. And it kind of made me curious because obviously there's all sorts of different skill levels. You got
Mm.
me at the bottom and then you at the top. So um, somebody like me, would I consider your car easy to drive? Is that how you like to set up your car? How would you like a car to set up? Do you like a lot of front grip, a lot of steering, numb steering, a lot of rear rotation? I mean, there's a lot of ways you can kind of describe like what you prefer. What are some of the basics that you like as far as how a car feels and reacts?
yeah, so um, for the indoor track in particular at Adrenaline, it is a very unique surface. We run.
Especially when it's 20 degrees.
Yes, it's very cold and just you just really can't get any temps in the tires, so it's pretty unique. And it's on the tighter side in there. Um, so for the indoor track, I actually set my car up for the most steering possible. Because the only way that you can really just go super ballistic in there, just in terms of lap time wise, is having the most steering possible. Because it's so tight. There's a lot of 180s. On this particular layout, like we have a chicane. Actually, we kind of have almost two chicanes.
You have like a wagon
One of them,
wheel type deal.
yeah, like a wagon wheel, and then like coming on the straight, it's like a kind of like a chicane. And I set mine up for the most steering possible because to me, that's just the only way you can really, really just fly around the track. Now, with that becomes a car that is very on the nose. Like it is, you turn the wheel too hard and your rear end spins out, because you have all this steering. Um, but when people drove like my car, um, some guys drove it on the outside track, which on the outside track, it's set up pretty normal, right? Like it might have more steering than, someone, might like, right? But it's pretty normal. Like it's not anything crazy. If we went to LCRC or the Adrenaline Outdoor Track, like it's a pretty normal base setup that would make sense to everybody. Um, but so some people drove my car outside, for the spring fling, which is when I first joined the team. There's a lot of people interested, so I let a few people drive my car. Jonah Wilson was down. Some people drove his car. Um, but yeah, the inside track, like when people drive my car, I always tell them, I'm like, hey, this thing has got buttloads of steering and not massive amounts of traction. But that's because that's the way I drive my car in here. So like one of the local guys at our track, John Jimenez, he's been doing awesome recently, with the Spark Car. He's just one guy that I'm pointing out because he drove my car, and he's like, man, I like it, but it's just got a lot of steering. So when we built his car, like I kind of told him the direction to go to numb the front end down just a little bit, where he could use more of the wheel and feel more comfortable. So when people drive my car, I just always tell them, like, warn them, like, hey, it's gonna feel like this, and you're gonna think it has zero traction, but that's just the way I like it, like, personally. Um, but, honestly, everyone that's drove my car has actually done really well. I've let Jay Draper drive my car. Um, uh, Brandon Hester drove Jonah's car one time, and all the other Justin Stein has drove John's car. John's drove my car. So like, honestly, everyone that's drove my car has been honestly handled it really well, better than I would have thought. Not because they're not good or anything, but just because it's hard to drive a
Different
car that
radio,
is,
different setup.
yeah, different radio ESC settings. I
Hmm.
run max power in the inside track, which to Alex that probably sounds insane,
That's
because
pretty
it's just
much
so
what I do.
tight. You run max power inside?
Close. I'm at 90 and whatever Mike's
Oh,
ESC
okay.
settings are,
Okay.
which is max
Yeah.
for
I
me.
generally don't turn
I
mine down either. I just try to, give it less input
And
for the
that's
most part.
that's good. I mean, that's totally fine. But um, yeah, just different radio, different power settings, different electronics. Yeah, and honestly, everyone does really well with it. But yeah, I think people can get the gist of how the car feels right off the bat, and then obviously everyone knows you can just tune anything to what you like. So
Being like a spokesman and a salesperson for Sparko, if somebody was to go out and buy a kit right now, a Sparko one, you said there's a couple things that you tell them to do right off the bat. What
yeah,
are some of those things? We'll just say probably most people listening to this will buy an e-buggy. So we'll just
yeah.
say e-buggy, for example, so we don't have to go down all of the setups.
Yeah, for e-buggy, the number one thing I would do regardless is the camber link kit, because right now our kit comes with the top A arm. And the camber link kit just makes it way easier to work on, just gives it a cleaner front end look. It just allows you to just eliminate that whole top arm, and it's just easier to maintenance and work on. So I definitely recommend that. Another thing I would recommend is 17 5-degree caster blocks and the 4-degree steering knuckles. That just really helps the car, the front end calm down a little bit, makes it really smooth to drive, pretty predictable. And then I would say the position one RC tower, so Matt Novoso's tower is another popular item that we run. Just allows you to run a longer rear camber link.
Okay.
So yeah,
What comes in the kit on the front end for the
so
steering box catch
it's
blocks?
it comes with 16-degree steering blocks and 0
Okay.
degree steering knuckles, which
Okay.
I actually, on Adrenaline on the inside track, I run the 16-degree steering knuckles, or the caster blocks, I'm sorry, but I run the 4-degree steering knuckles just because the 16s and zeros, it's like wants to corkscrew itself into the ground, so it's just a little too much.
Now the steering block, that's basically a KPI setting, right? Just trails it.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So right now, Sparko has 0, 4, and 7s. We just released the
Okay.
7s not too long ago.
With the
You running
position
those
one.
at Nats?
The what?
Running those at Nats?
Yeah, is a good chance. Um, I haven't actually tried them yet just because just been on the inside track, but it's also been, super cold outside. I really
Yeah.
don't want to, you know, do anything crazy outside right now. But yeah, I plan on doing a lot of testing and just, trying some of the new stuff, the sevens and stuff like that. Yeah.
With the position one towers for the longer rear camber link, just out of curiosity, are you? I assume you're making it longer from the tower, so you're moving it in on the tower. So
Mhm.
where does the mounting point for the camber link end up, like above the hinge pin? Is it like more inside the hinge pin, directly above, or
It's a little bit more inside.
okay,
Yeah.
interesting,
So like
interesting.
the stock tower, um, the outside hole in the stock tower is kind of right above the hinge pin.
Hmm.
This allows you to kind of go more in, and that longer link, it just really helps the car just the rear end just stay a lot more calm and
Yeah,
predictable.
locks it in more.
Um, yes, especially on the bigger tracks. You don't get that like I feel like that you don't get that weird like step out. Like if
Yeah,
you're mid corner and the rear
yeah,
kind of wants to step itself out, you kind of eliminate that with the super with the longer link on Mass Tower.
yeah. I asked because like with the new cool techno thing doing the wide pivot, you're
Mm,
supposed to move them out on the stock tower because that puts it
mm,
directly above the hinge pin on the outside position. So I was
mm.
just curious how much I would get my hand slapped if I had felt I need to move them in. So good to know.
Yes. Yeah.
I think kind of Mike mentioned something. It's a question that I have then. Uh, Worlds 2026.
Mhm.
Gonna do any testing for it? Going down to Texas ahead of time? What are your plans, predictions? I want to hear your input from that.
Yeah, so I definitely plan on, well, we are going to the Lone Star Challenge, which is also gonna be the world's warm up. So I think, I'll be there, Jonah Wilson, our team manager, John, and then I'm pretty sure Adrian Perriente and, Alex Lim, which is a South American driver. He was at Silver State as well. So pretty much the entire factory team is going to be there, which is going to be nice. So yeah, we plan on going to that, and then probably staying like 2 days or a day after, and just do some more running after the Lone Star Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Talk
Does
about a
anybody
great
know?
first outing for Adrian Piante when he switched to Sparko. Like
Yeah,
he had one hell of a race.
yeah, the kid is super good.
Mhm.
He's a great driver, and yeah, I think he's just one of those guys that could probably drive anything.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to have his input. It's great for him to be on the team, I think, when you guys go down to um, Texas, because
Mm.
I have a feeling like he'll be used to what I assume the grip level is going to be like down there. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it would definitely feel more at home compared to like if he came to DNC, right? But it's all different. It's just because it's high grip, um, doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same as Renovon. Just
Yeah.
using that track as an example. It's all relative to the track, and it's different. Every track is different. And so yes, he will for sure feel more comfortable in the sense of like this is closer to what he's used to. Um, but yeah, it's still different, and it doesn't. I don't think it's going to make it any easier just because of the competition, right? Like it's the worlds, and it's what everyone is gearing up for, and what where everyone's gonna be there, and where it all matters. So
Do you have a preference on grip levels?
um man, I'm a sucker for um outdoor naturally blue groove tracks. Um
Yeah.
I love it. I think that's just coming from Florida, like, we kind of had that traditional, um, like starts off kind of pen tire, a little wet, kind of fluffy, and then it like, you know, you run round one, you can start to see the groove peek through, and then like round two, it just ramps up, and you're immediately going to like a relapse style with a harder compound, and just get that like black and blue look to it. Yeah, I just think that's awesome. I don't. I think eight scale on like for me personally, um, I just I like eight scale when it's more on a medium grip. I mean, if it's medium to high, it's okay, but like the extremely high bite tracks, it just feels uh just kind of hurts to drive in a way, if that makes any sense. Like it's just so and I'm like I didn't even go to the Renovon Worlds or the e-buggy Worlds, which, talking to like the guys that went, they're just telling me it's like it's way higher than anything in America. Like it's totally different traction level. Um, so yeah, I mean, does it look fun? Yeah, I think it looks cool on TV. Like when you're watching Renovon or e-buggy Worlds and the track is just like maximum traction and you can just rip on it, and but just like a loose track has its challenges, high bite tracks have their challenges too.
What's your
Now,
favorite tire?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oof. Man, I gotta go with Reflex. It just works. Um, it is the go-to tire. It's such a, you know, cliche answer, but it just works. Like it just you put it on and you can just go out there and drive. And you know that it's not gonna be really bad. It might not be the best, but it's not gonna be bad. Like
It's like
it's gonna
always
work.
gonna work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always gonna work.
It's a safe tire.
Yep. Yep. I always tell people, I'm like, if you it's the tire you go to when you just go, man, I don't really know what to do, so I'm just gonna put this on and eliminate the tire game.
Yeah.
As Davey would say, I don't want the safe tire. I want the fast tire.
You know, yes, most of us always want the fast tire, but the fast tire is sometimes very hard to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you need that safe
Some of us
tire.
can't hold on to the fast tire.
Yes, sometimes you want that safe tire because
Yep.
it might allow you to actually go faster because you have more confidence in your car, and it's gripping better to the track. So
Mike.
I'm sorry, Mike. I cut you off like 5 times.
I already forgot the first one. The second one, yeah,
An
the
asshole.
second
I'm
one
sorry.
going back to no, you're fine. Like high bite versus like your ideal, like your medium grip or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, do you think that's some of that mindset is that like when you're running high bite, I'm relating this to carpet because this is how I felt when I started running 2 carpet, is
Yeah.
that it's very, very punishing for the smallest mistakes versus
Yes.
on traditional off-road dirt, your driver ability can outshine, you know what I mean, to where you can
Yeah.
make essentially you can make up time. Even though I hate to
Yep.
say that anybody can make up time because never drive as if you can feel like you can make up time. Just drive your race, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I wanted to basically get your thought on that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I
Yeah.
mean, high bite is super punishing. When I raced 10 scale for a while, I did like a few carpet races, quite a few carpet races. And the one thing about carpet is it's so high bite that the smallest like and you're going so fast. You were comparing carpet, so I'm just gonna talk about carpet because it's high bite. But like, if you tap the pipe going down the back straightaway, like just rub it. It just like slingshots your car to the outside. Then you hope it doesn't shear off the arm because you're going Mach 10 down the straightaway, and then, you got white PVC pipe. Yes, high bite is like super punishing, and yeah, on a traditional like just outdoor loose dirt, you know slightly packed track, um, you can get away with blowing the corner a little bit or missing your breaking point a touch or turning in a little too like you can kind of correct those small mistakes and still be still be on a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah, the high bite stuff is really punishing. It's just it's also happening when you have traction, like everything's faster, everything's moving quicker. It's like everything is enhanced, so it's like it's happening so fast too. It's just like, man, I didn't even realize that just happened.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, like watching you guys run, like even like when you were at LCRC and those sorts of things, like um, seeing your guys' driver ability and that on like the medium, I'm just gonna say medium grip standpoint,
Mhm.
to me is more impressive than watching somebody run on a high bite. Just
Yeah,
because
I
how
mean,
you're able to manipulate the car to get, say, more traction, more punch out of the turn, all that stuff, right? You're not just
yeah,
full wooding it. Like the what you were doing to manipulate the car that I can't do. You know what I mean? Like to go
yeah,
a second faster here.
yeah, and like LCRC for the Mugen Challenge, like um the the track, like when it was kind of like looser, um, kind of like towards the end of qualifying. Actually, all of qualifying, I thought it kind of like plateaued a little bit, where it just kind of stayed the same for the manual qualifying. Like when I first showed up there on Thursday, like the traction was really good. And you just had way more like abrasion in the track, so you could drive a little bit like harder and brake later, and then when the track kind of mellowed out and the grip came down just a touch, now you're on a green reflex or a blue reflex, whatever, during the time of the day if the sun was out or not. But yeah, just like the one thing I'll say is like when you like LCRC for instance, when I was there for Mugen Challenge, like just the throttle input I felt was super important there. Like especially when you were going through that
Ice rink.
six
Oh,
well that but the six pack, because if you
Yeah,
if
yeah,
how
you
it
jab
was,
the
yeah.
throttle, the rear would step out and then it's over, right? You're not making the six pack. So like for me, like the one of the things was I slowly applied the throttle, so I would continue to go forward, but I wouldn't break traction, so I could hit the six pack straight. Um, but yeah,
As we would dust and water the six pack,
mhm,
you could just see not the first one, but all the jumps and the steps after
yeah,
that collected so much dust. So the
yeah,
throttle input, it just had to be so light as you went up after the first one. Really just
yeah,
go in with momentum, it seemed like, or else you're
yeah.
gonna, you know.
Going in with momentum and not touching the wheel, because like if you tried to like when you went over the first three, if you tried to turn the wheel, because the dust was so collected there, it would like slide the car out, and yeah, that was a tough section, man. Um, that was brutal. That was hard. But yeah, to your point, Mike, yeah, just when the track is like that, where it kind of gets that like dust layer around it, I your throttle inputs I feel like are very important with not breaking traction, but continuing to move the car forward.
but I forget, I forget what I was gonna say before because Taylor's rude and cut me off. But if
It's
I
the only
remember,
thing
I'll
I'm
bring
good
it
for
up.
on this podcast.
Yeah,
Uh,
asshole.
I'd like to personally move on to some Silver State talk. Anyone got anything outside of that first?
I want to ask like one question before Mike gets any ideas so I can cut him off. Um, Lee, would what would you say to somebody that's starting RC and they're like first, second, maybe third year, 8 scale
mhm.
outdoors? What advice and tips would you give somebody like that?
Have fun, man. That's rule number one. If you're not having fun with whatever you're doing, then you're doing the wrong thing. Um, have fun, try your best, and just know that you tried your best, and continue to learn. I think when I was a little bit younger, like 18, 19, early 20s, I just thought that um, I just knew more than what I did, just like any young adult or kid. And the older I get, I realize I'm like, man, I don't know as much as I thought. Like I can constantly learn from people, no matter who it is. And yeah, those three things to me are like I think the most important. Have fun, try your best, and continue to want to learn. Doing those three things, and it's just going to propel you. Not just in RC, but I think with anything that you do. Um, you know, so yeah, that's what I tell like all the kids at Adrenaline, like some of the newer kids and stuff. I'm like, look, man, just have fun. Like we all have fun here. This is why we're here. To enjoy the hobby, to enjoy each other's company, have a blast, laugh, make fun of each other, and that's why we're here. So yeah, that would be my few things that I would say.
All right. Alex, did you want to go into Silver State?
Yes. Where shall we begin? All right, Lee. I'll let you kind of lead this. So, how do you feel with your results at Silver State? Like, give me a race report for your racing. Go.
It was okay. Wasn't amazing, but it could have been a lot worse. I qualified eighth in e-buggy, and I finished 10th. I think, yeah, I think I finished 10th, and then Truggy I qualified 13th and finished ninth. E-Truggy, 13th and finished ninth. I had some electrical gremlins kind of throughout the whole weekend in truck, which kind of sucks, but it's part of racing, and so didn't really get the bump out of the B main, and kind of had to just settle for I don't know. I think I got like fifth or sixth in the truck B main or something like that. But yeah, and then the buggy main, um, or the buggy B main, I started 10th. Didn't really have a great qualifying, but um, you know, Jonah and myself and John and the rest of the team, we figured out some stuff on the main day because Jonah made the main, so he had a warm up, and we had him try some different stuff, and it was really in the right direction. I put that on my car for the B main, and feel like I made the right tire choice and got the win there. So I bumped up to the A, and I think I finished 13th. Yeah, 13th sounds about right. So not amazing, but it was okay. It could have been a lot worse. Could have been in all four Bs and just watched the mains. So
With the track, how was the layout, surface development throughout the weekend, character, stuff like that?
yeah, first of all, the layout was super awesome. I think that was by far my favorite Silver State layout that I've been to. Um, the end of the straightaway hill is massive. The video does not do its justice because like when you stand beside that thing, it's huge. And just like all the jumps were really cool, and the elevation was cool, and the concrete section was cool. Yeah, I thought the layout itself was awesome. There wasn't anything like too crazy, like hard, where it was like you felt like you were racing the track.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It looked like it flowed really nice too.
Yeah, it flowed awesome. It was a perfect combination in my opinion of like it's not super easy. Like you still have to drive smart and kind of hit your marks, but it wasn't like, a 30 pack of whoops that you couldn't get to or whatever, would be in there. But um yeah, surface wise, I this was the smoothest I think uh, it's been in a long time. And I think this year it was in January, and usually Silver State's in May, so the weather's a little different. Um, but I think like Anthony Westergaard and the Dirt Crew, like they spent, I saw Anthony out there every night. As soon as racing was over, he would take the skid steer out there, kind of fluff up the track, reshape whatever was getting really bad, and pack it. And they just packed it, and it got packed really tight. They kept good moisture in the track. And I think that all played a role into, that it actually stayed together pretty well.
What tires do you guys end up main time on?
So it was kind of all over the place. Some guys liked reflex. I ran Falcons.
Okay.
Some guys liked reflex, some guys liked Falcons, some guys like dirt bikes. There were a few guys running recons, some guys in the buggy main ran recons. Yeah, it was kind of all over the place, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. It's just kind of very driver and car dependent. Like, you know, sometimes the Falcons were good on this car and for this guy, but this guy didn't like him. So yeah, it was just very dependent on the car and the driver.
Gotcha.
What compounds?
So mostly green, like mainly green constantly. I do know I tried blues. Um, I think it was the last e-buggy round. I think I got seventh. No, I got sixth for the round. I ran blues in Q3. Because at that time there were, I know like a few guys had tried blues. I think Mayfield was going out on blues too, maybe. And so, I was like, well, I'll try blues. Screw it. I'll try it. And it wasn't bad, but it had good forward bite, but the side bite just wasn't for me. I just didn't like the side bite, like, well, the lack of side bite, I guess. So I just went back to green because, I'm like, okay, well, I know this isn't going to be terrible. So yeah, most people ran greens. I would say 99% of the people there ran greens, and there's maybe a few people tried blues or ran blues, but
But
Okay.
Alex, last year at Motorama, didn't people run blue
Well, I was running
at
blues
Motorama? Yeah, okay.
and soft
I feel
long
like
wear.
Motoroma maybe grooved up a little bit more than what I'm guessing Silver State did. Lee, you could touch on that.
yeah, I
Well, you
mean,
were there.
on camera, like, uh, yeah, yeah, I was there. um, yeah, it grooved up. It grooved up pretty well. But it didn't have like the abrasive traction that like Motorama gets, right? So like when Motorama grooves up, it's like,
I was
okay,
gonna say
it's
we're on relapse and stuff like that
yeah,
at that point
yeah,
because
and
we
then
have a
like
groove. So
yep, like Silver State, it was like yeah, the groove was black and blue, but it didn't really have a lot of traction.
Yeah.
So that was the difference. Like I think the black and blue was just mainly from the nitro fumes, and it was only in a few corners too. Like the corner before the double double was black and blue, and I think that was just from braking constant,
Yeah.
however many laps of people braking, the rubber kind of getting laid down,
Tire
and then just
sliding.
the
Yeah.
yeah, and but there wasn't traction there. Like it wasn't like holy cow, I could run a relapse in this section. Whereas Motorama, it's like, okay, when it grooves up, it's like, it's time to go because you're shredding Penn tires and your car is really edgy if you run the Penn tires.
What dirt do they use at Silver State? Because is it like dirt they keep in a container for when they do the races down there at that arena,
Yeah,
or?
I think I'm not totally for sure, but I'm positive that it is the horse arena dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year, I do know Anthony told me that they have an outside arena and Anthony said he brought all the dirt from the outside arena to the inside arena, and they
Okay.
used every little bit of dirt they basically could use for the track.
Gotcha.
I appreciate that because, like you said, the elevation made such a cool looking track
Yeah, it
layout.
looked
Yeah,
awesome on
I
camera.
it was
love
awesome.
that hill at the end of the straight.
Yep.
It was just different and it
Yeah.
looked very challenging, slowed you down.
Yep.
I liked it a
Well,
lot.
I like the gravity cavity concrete section where you and Lee, we were talking about this over the weekend where
Yeah.
you like jumped over and it was that way, and then
Yep.
for anyone that didn't see the pros or any of the pro races from Silver State, go watch them because how Lee and everyone else up there was launching their car over this jump and just planning it straight into this berm, and just how it would whip around like a damn roller coaster. It just looks sweet.
Yeah. And like I was telling you, it's like the reason we all started. Mayfield was the first guy to do it, and then we all stared doing it because if you try to stay tight, you're going so slow to stay tight that as soon as you get on the concrete, you have no traction. You're just like spinning, going nowhere basically. So if you were to jump wide to the berm, like the outside where the dirt is, you could basically get traction, slingshot your car, and it would just slingshot you straight through the concrete. Like you would pass people in there if you did it right, and they went to the inside.
Oh, you
So
could see, like on camera, I could easily see the speed difference from
yeah,
the people that did or didn't. Like, there was definitely tents
yeah,
being shaved.
yeah, yeah. It was massive, and when you did it right, it felt so cool. It's like you just jump as far as you can to the berm, the car would like when the suspension would compress, it would sit in and just slingshot out. It actually felt really awesome to do.
I bet.
Yeah, the end of the straightaway, that hill was actually honestly a hard section because when it started getting rough there and like the dust was starting, like you had the polished surface feel like the black and blue, and then the dust was there, like getting your braking point right, like going up the hill through the chop and then trying to
Yeah.
turn on bumps and not go into the pipe and get stuck underneath was hard. It was really hard to like just really get that perfect sweet braking spot. And then on top of that, if you did that right, where you jump when you went up and came down and then jumped a little double out of it, there was a big hole forming. So if you hit that hole, your car just donkeyed straight down onto the wing. So you had to like dodge that at the same time. That was a tough section, yeah.
How tall would you say that mound was at the end of the straight?
Well, I'm like 6'2", and I'm gonna say that thing was probably, man, I want to say it's like 8, 9, maybe 10 feet.
Wow.
Oof.
Yeah,
It was big.
doesn't look
It
like
was
that on
big.
camera. That's awesome.
No,
Yeah,
it was massive.
I got to remember that next time.
I would say maybe 7 to 9, somewhere in it has to be somewhere in that range, 7 to 9.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's got to be in that range
Bring a tape
because it
measure
was
next time.
big. I'll make sure to put that on the OGO bag in the plane.
Thank you.
Camera definitely subtracts at least like 7, 8 inches for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
it was huge. I mean, it was so big. Like on the backside of it, they did a like a little ramp for a backflip section, and they had 2 flagpoles on the back. So they like you had the uphill in the front, and then on the back of it, they just made this giant ramp, and you would just people would just send their car like after racing or whatever, they just sent their car and doing backflips and stuff. So
Sweet. Anyone else have anything on the dirt track subject of Silver State? Okay, I want to get into the
Not
nitty.
personally.
What? Okay,
Nothing.
I want to get into the nitty gritty about the things that happened that went controversial on
yeah,
the interwebs.
I knew this was coming.
Yes. Taylor, you want to lead that?
What do you got, Lee? What did you know that's coming?
I'm gonna go on a limb. You're gonna ask me about Mayfield and Fee,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, for one, you could obviously tell that Fee didn't mean to do it.
Yeah.
If you look at the video, it's not like he was pumped about what just happened on the track.
Mhm.
Um, you know, to the other hand, like people got their speculations and their opinions, and which is cool, which is fine. Um, but one thing I will say is like Mayfield was not mad about that. Sure he's upset. I think you went from first to fourth. You lost out on a lot of contingency. Yeah, you're upset. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty normal, right? And then you come off the driver's stand. You might not like tell Fee right away, like, "Hey, it's okay, buddy." Like, whatever. You're still a little upset. But I can tell you that right after they marshaled, 100% certainty. I know this happened. Ryan went over to Fee and was like, "Hey, dude, don't worry about it. Like, I would have done the same thing. You have nothing to be ashamed of, or you don't have to apologize. Like, we're racing hard, and that's what we do." And in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, the whole thing was over. Like, it was fine. Um, I think Fee just had a little bit better, like entry into the corner, I think Mayfield's car was already a little loose. Like it was kind of slow sliding, and Fee just had that better turn in, had that perfect turn in. And Fee's car was awesome all weekend. Like,
Oh yeah,
Fee's stuff
he
was
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 on it.
dialed.
Yeah.
All his cars were dialed. He was dialed. He's an awesome driver. But it's just part of racing. Like we're racing buggies and they're open wheeled and the track's hard and it's hard enough just to navigate around the thing, and then you got to race with 16 other guys. It's like
And
it's hard.
contingency money.
Um, yeah, and there's contingency money on the line, and it's hard. It's tough. So um, that's my take on it. I think it was just a racing incident. I don't really think that Fee meant to do that, and actually I know he didn't mean to do
Oh
that.
yeah.
Um, and 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 I think there was no problem. I think sure, yeah, Ryan was upset. He went from first to fourth, lost out on a bunch of contingency money, lost out on a podium, potentially a win, but he, I mean, he would have done the same thing. Like it's racing. And honestly, all 16 of us in the main would have made a ballsy move or some type of try the last few corners of the last lap for a win at Silver State.
Mm-hmm.
Weren't
Um,
weren't people cutting the corner right by the loop?
yeah, so that one, that one was interesting because I honestly didn't even. People were saying that, oh yeah, this guy's been doing it all weekend. I didn't even know it was possible. To be honest with you, because I'm like, there's no way. There's not enough lip on this thing to like jump you over the sandbag and the pipe completely. So I didn't even really think about it. I mean, I never attempted it. I was never really in a position to attempt it. Um, but yeah, there were a few guys that did it. Now that one, I don't know. I mean, I would like to. I can't sit here and say that if I was in that position, I wouldn't do the same thing. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, if I was fourth and whoever's in front of me is third, and this is the chance between a podium at Silver State and a few, you know, $100 or $1,000 or whatever of contingency. I'm not going to do it. I don't know. I guess it's more of an instinct, kind of in the moment decision making. Um, but again, honestly, don't put a roller where the turn is when you build a track. You know, just if you want to eliminate it, just don't do that.
Yeah. It's a gib jump, as we like to call it.
Yeah, it's if but like that happened. Someone did it in the e-buggy main, and there was speculation about it. Like, okay, should we dock this person that did it? Whatever, whatever. Well, they didn't do anything. They're just like, oh, it's fair game, whatever, which is cool, right? They can decide whatever they want. So if it's fair game, then you have to expect
People to try it.
everyone else to do it, people to try it. You have to expect that. And
So
so, you're gonna get into the e-truggy incident next, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the e-truggy incident with
This is
Lutz and
the
Mayfield,
I was gonna say the Ryan and Ryan thing. Yeah.
yeah. So that one is a little bit more um like I don't want to say complicated, but just more to it than just like last minute move because the announcer that entire lap that Ryan and Ryan were together, because I was in the main, I'm on the driver's stand, and he just kept saying, "This is the last lap. This is the last lap. I don't think they're gonna get one more. I don't think they're gonna get one more." So they're battling hard. It's the last lap, and then they come through the roller. Mayfield attempts the jump thing. Well, then they get by with like a fraction of a second. I mean, could not have been any closer that they got by. So and on video, it looks like Mayfield just full throttled it and like, oh, screw it, I'm just gonna go for this.
yeah, like time was
But
already out.
all the yeah, time was already out. Like, and then it wouldn't have mattered, right? Because it's like as soon as you cross the line, it's over.
Yeah.
But as soon as they did it, as soon as they crossed the line,
They
it's
clicked
like
for another
they
lap.
they clicked it for another lap, and it was just so unfortunate because
You had a great battle.
I don't think
Yeah.
yeah, it just wasn't expected. Like the whole time, everyone's being told this is the last lap, this is the last lap. So what do you do if the RD is telling you it's the last lap? You go for
Oh
it.
yeah.
It's the last corner of the last lap. You go for it.
I didn't know
Um,
That
that.
changes things a lot because I didn't realize that
yeah,
they were calling
Oh
it like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and that's, I mean, at the same time, I mean, it absolutely sucks for Lutz. Like, I don't, I'm not saying that this is a like amazing thing, like, oh, I'm not, happy about it, but I'm also putting in perspective of like, I know that if that was me, if I'm battling Mayfield, I'm doing that to Mayfield. Like
oh yeah.
if this is the last corner of the last lap, I'm 100% jumping that thing to win each. I don't care if it's each rugby. I'm jumping that thing to win each rugby. You
For
know,
sure.
unfortunately, if if I was in that position and I hit Mayfield, like clipped his tire or whatever, and he flipped over like Ryan did to Lutz, and we got by, I would be like, wow, that sucks. Like that does not look that awesome because that's like it looks like I just was like, oh screw you, I'm just gonna throw my car in there. So that one's a little bit more like frustrating per se because you're just being told the whole time this is it, and then it's not it. So
What's your take on the internet, like dissecting all these things and putting their input on all this stuff when they weren't there and all that? Like the whole like the fee and the Mayfield thing seemed like it was completely blown out of proportion for what it really was and
it
all that.
was for sure. But that's the internet nowadays. It's like that and everything. I watch I'm heavy into Formula One, and it's the same thing with any sport: Formula One, rally, NASCAR. It's football, soccer, basketball. I mean, it is just the way it is. I think it's frustrating at times, as someone who like really like you're just like, okay, I know what happened, and but you have someone who wasn't there, and they're just like, oh well, this is really what happened. It's like, well, no, that's not what happened. Like, and then it's all blown out of proportion. And I get it, like all publicity is good publicity, right? So it's there's you're trying to get all the clicks and the likes and people talking about it, and it's to an extent, I think it is good for our hobby and our industry, just like it's
Exposure.
anyone that watches, yeah, exposure. Anyone that watches Supercross, like I tell people all the time, like, look, I don't really watch Supercross, um, but a lot of people hate or dislike Deegan.
Yeah. I see
I'm like,
that.
yeah, but the dude is the most talked about writer, and he's probably bringing in a lot of money and
Hmm.
views and clicks to the industry. So yeah, I get it. I would say it's on the healthier side for a hobby, but it does get at the same time. On the other hand, it gets very frustrating when you like read through all this stuff. There's 400 comments about whatever, and it's a lot of it is not true or not correct information, or it's just completely false. So,
Who's
So
your
on the
favorite
on the
Formula One driver? I'm
oh, Max
trying to
Verstappen for
talk over.
sure.
Yeah, trying to talk
yeah.
over Mike too.
So
Yeah.
on the flip side of the whole
Yeah,
internet
and
thing,
so what's your favorite color?
yeah, Taylor, you're a dick. Uh, um, so the flip side of the internet thing, the when we were talking to Lefty about the stuff, is like to make RC more mainstream or to relate to more
Mhm.
people or whatever, is you got to have a villain, right?
Yeah,
So
for
if you
sure.
have the people, so if you have the people in the comments with the villain on both sides, who's the real
Yeah.
villain? You're creating that conversation. Maybe this is popping up on somebody else's feed on Facebook because it's a very popular post, and that one person that doesn't leave Facebook is, it's on, whatever. It's making it pop up on their friends' feeds.
Hmm.
Yep.
Maybe that video is now being shown to 5,000 people that wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's why I said, like, I understand, like, for our industry, you need this stuff to be kind of blasted, if that makes any sense. Um, but as a racer, like at the on the other hand, like I said, it just sucks to see like there's so much misspread information that gets tossed around. But um
It's because
But
everybody thinks they know everything.
Well, I
You
do.
know?
yeah. But
Well, I mean, you do.
people eat it up, and it gets the views, it gets the clicks, it gets the likes, it gets the watches. So what are you gonna do? And like I said, that's with anything in the world. It's not just our sport or our hobby. It's
Yeah, you start a
No.
anything.
podcast and exploit it. That's what you do.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thanks for the
So
clicks.
yep.
so
Yep.
what we do, Lee, is we ignore it and we just
Yep.
live our lives because we don't really give a shit about what people say on the internet.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And one thing I will say is, like, when this whole thing happened, like, Mayfield is he's so mentally strong. Like, man, he does not let any of this stuff affect him. Like, he's got a family and a, a life and a house and other things he does. Like, he's so mentally strong. I mean, he's just like, yeah, I mean, none of these people know me. Like, they don't know who I am or what I do or how I am. And Mayfield is like, man, he's one of the coolest dudes. He'll do anything for anybody. All these guys, Fee and his dad's super awesome people, do anything for anybody. Lutz, all the guys of the track. And honestly, not just the pros, mainly everyone in the industry is really, really cool and helpful. Um, so yeah.
I've been super fortunate in the position I'm in to meet a lot of the top pros and a lot of people in the industry. And you're exactly right. Like
Yeah.
everyone's been extremely nice. And if
Yeah.
anything, like I would say kind of like Mayfield's kind of got the rap sometimes of being like a little bit of an a-hole or something, but
Yeah.
not at all. Man,
No,
in person
he's
is such a nice guy.
super awesome. Like, he is the opposite of that. I mean, he is man, the amount of times, like, I've asked that dude stuff, and he's just, really took the time to just show me things and teach me, or like help me with things, or questions I have. Or I mean, he's an awesome dude. His whole just everyone around him is awesome, and he does whatever he can with what he in his means to help anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, I've seen him at an event. We're going out to Marshall, and somebody's car breaks in the warm up, and he takes it and he's running back to somebody's pit to try, and doesn't even know the guy. Doesn't it could be a Kyosho car, and he's running technical. Like, it doesn't matter to him. He's just such a super super cool dude. But and like I said, everyone. I mean, most everyone that I've always met in this industry since I was a kid to now has been super awesome, super nice. Just yeah, just the whole industry is just really filled with like really cool, good people. So
Absolutely. I totally agree. But to make the internet what the internet is, if there was has to be a villain in the RC hobby, who would you pick that villain to be?
oh,
It should be you, Lee.
So call out one of your buddies and be like, "Ah, man, this guy's an
um,
asshole."
Pick yourself.
no, I don't want to pick myself, man.
Overall, Lee's too nice to be the villain.
Exactly. It'd be the perfect villain arc.
He could be the hype man in the
Go
background.
heel.
Honestly, I just talked about how awesome Ryan is, but he would
I knew
have
it
to
was
be the
coming.
villain.
Yeah.
He would have
Oh
to
yeah,
be because so he's already on the internet. He's got the persona of like being the a
The
hole,
old
right?
crusty veteran.
Yeah, but at the same
But
time, I would also choose him because I know that he doesn't care. So like,
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, you can say whatever you want to me. I don't care. So that's why I would pick him, just because of those two things. But
No, I like that. I think you're absolutely right. He would make a good villain. Like if I had to make a WWE cast out of the current top 20, 30 drivers, maybe
Jacob Hardison.
yeah, Jacob Hardison would be on the villain side.
yeah,
Anyone have any more on Silver State?
No.
Lee, how are you doing on time? You hanging or you gotta bounce or anything?
um, I just looked at my wrist like I had a watch out. I got about 10 minutes till dinner's done.
All right.
Because I have, I'd like your opinion before you leave. I have one
Okay.
conversation I want, and you being an official pro now, I'd really love to hear yours because we always talk about the whole industry always talks about how we need a series, and we
Mhm.
JQ did RCGP, and it worked and it didn't work at the same time, and like we have our fake point series. Lefty had his not as fake point series, and we got like the INS, and they're doing what the ONS, or I think it's called. They're going to be doing that
Yeah,
now.
ONS.
Um,
Yep.
and that we have these like micro 3 race series or 4 race series, and then pretty much everywhere locally has some sort of race series. Like Sean Duffy with his Pennsylvania State Carpet Champ series. Virginia has their outdoor series. Thomas Kaufman has his series. LCRC has their own series. I was getting there. My point is, there's a lot of them, but we're lacking one on the pro sector of things and stuff. And anyone that didn't listen to the 7 hour podcast Lefty did with JQ and Pecco, I highly recommend sitting there and suffering through all 7 hours because it is hilarious and they bring up really good points. But to me, it sounds like the thing that is really missing at the root of it is money. And being that there's not enough coming in to be able to put on events, pay drivers, whether it's coming into the brands themselves or coming into each race. Because like if we sit and look at NASCAR, F1, Supercross,
Mhm.
they're getting revenue from merchandise, TV, ticket sales, vendor sales. That's all stuff that RC doesn't have. We have entry fee. That's pretty
Right.
much it. So what if we went to something like NASCAR and F1 and stuff like that does, where they have charters? And I did the math somewhere on my phone. I got really bored at work. I hope my boss doesn't watch this. Where's the math? I don't know where the math went. Okay, off the top of the dome. So, like, what if we did, say it's 100 drivers? 100 drivers compete in this World Series. Say 8 races. And it's charters of 4 people. And to have a charter, you have to pay, I'm just going to use easy round numbers, $1,000. And you can buy, like, Techno or Sparko or Associated or Mugen can buy as many charters as they want. Or if me, Taylor, Davey, and Mike want to have a slowest fast charter and we want to spend $1,000 and go to 8 races, we can do that. And
Mhm.
that charter would pay for those drivers, pay their entry fee and all that, and then it'd be on those guys or whoever's backing them to pay their travel and such on top of that. But that money would all go to the tracks having these races and stuff like that. And then at these races, like for example, let's say one of the races is at LCRC. So those 100 entries are for the World Championship. That is for the points. And then you can have another class or another skill level where it's just open. Whoever wants to come, the locals,
Mhm.
they pay 50 or however much so an entry fee a piece. And you can even make that, like RCGP did, where it's the RC2 series, where it's, like the intermediate. And you can make that its own series if people want to travel on their own dime. I think my point's kind of clear. And the question is, why, like, it would that not work? Anyone think that
Yeah,
wouldn't work?
I got 2 things, but I want Lee's opinion before he has to go.
I think it would work. The only thing I would change from what you said is instead of a, if you're wanting just a pro series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm assuming that's what we're just talking about pros, the best of the best,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Um, top 100, I would do like top 20, top 30. Um, that's the only thing I would say that the 100 wouldn't work in the sense of one, I think it's too many,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, you when you do this, you want the cream of the crop, right? You want
Cream of the crop.
the top, yeah, you want the top 30 best in the world from all over.
Sure.
That's what you want. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it would work, and it's just money. It
Yeah.
just comes down to, um, as a whole, um, you know, the hobby has to be able to companies and the hobby itself has to be able to generate um that money to,
Send drivers.
yeah, to do that,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not cheap. It won't be
No.
cheap. You got to pay the tracks, you got to find an announcer, you got to pay a track builder, and you got to pay your drivers, and then or whatever. You got to do pay all these things. Maybe find some sponsors here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Like F1's got, like all the teams have sponsors, right? McLaren's got Mastercard, and Ferrari's got HP.
Yeah. There's
Printers
non
and
F1 sponsors in F1.
right, right. And that is, if you're wanting the industry to go more mainstream, I think that is what would have to happen,
Yes.
because then it gives people um a series to watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like F1. You have 20 something races at these tracks, points for first through 10th, tally up, you become the world champion
Mm-hmm.
at the end. Um, but it gives people something to follow. And right now there's nothing to follow. There's nothing that goes, yeah, we have these races, right? We have the Dirt Nitro
Yeah.
Challenge and Silver State and PMB and the Nationals. And the Worlds, in my opinion, is like the one race people could follow, if that makes any sense, because it is the race that, um, when it is World Year, everyone works so hard for, and
Yeah.
everyone is there. But if you could get the top 30 or top 20 or whatever best guys in the world to and get these companies to commit to an 8 race or whatever, 9, whatever race you whatever you said. I think you said 8, right?
Yeah. Whatever number, but something
Eight,
around there. I
okay,
figured.
whatever. Let's just say 8. If you
Yeah.
can have these companies and these drivers commit to an 8 race series throughout the year, I think it would work. Um, would it work instantly? No.
No.
Um, but it would take time, but it would be a start. It would be a better start than than what we have now, in terms of getting outside of outside people, outside public eye on RC, because there's not a series to follow. There's not a calendar per se to follow. It's like one race to another. If you finish last in this race, like,
It means nothing going
okay,
into
you're
the
here at
next
the
one.
next. Yeah, it means
Yeah.
nothing going to the next one. Where it's like, if you finish last in race 7 of the series, if you're second in the standings, and the driver in first got fifth and you got last, and he got 5 points, and now he's closed the gap to
And then the whole
10
time the
points
guy in
behind
third
you.
got first. So now
Right,
he's only a
right,
point
and now
behind
the
second.
gap's closing. It gives you something to follow.
Yeah.
Like, there is a storyline, not really a storyline, but there is a plot follow.
Yeah. And that's like, not that the worlds don't matter. The worlds definitely matter.
No,
But
the
it's
world's
like,
100% matters. But imagine if you got 8 of those.
yeah, to me it's like, okay, David Ongaro won the worlds 3 times. But
Yeah.
okay, he won one race that happens every 2 years. I'm not discrediting his skill. Definitely deserves to be a world champion. Fastest dude in RC right now.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying,
But
though.
like,
But yeah, but imagine if you can have, let's just say 10 races that have the same impact and feeling and presentation and drivers that the Worlds does.
yes,
You
exactly.
know,
And
from race 1 to race 10.
the only reason I said 100 was 100 people that would be in that pro class
Yeah,
is
yeah.
is money wise, because then a thousand
Mhm.
$1,000 a charter, 4 people on a charter, divide 100 by 4, you get 20. So that's $20,000 instantly. This series has, which isn't
Mhm.
isn't enough, obviously, but and then you let the locals run an intermediate
Mhm.
level, and that generates revenue for the track, so that in theory you should only have to pay the promotion team, media company, and awards, have the tracks do their own thing and pay the
Right.
bills in their way. I've been thinking on this for a long time, and like, we have all sorts of media out there: Elite, 46RC, Mod Live. Like,
Yeah.
RC Racing TV. Like the technology and the teams are and the companies are already there for the media coverage. You know, the
Right.
drivers are already there.
Yep.
Just
Yeah, I think it's a honestly, I think it would be rad. Um, if I was lucky enough to be one of the top 30 or top 20, I would be if say this were to happen, I would be pumped, man. I would be like, yeah, this is awesome because, and if it's done right, it would be so cool.
mm-hmm.
Because if you that's why I said like imagine the worlds, but the same feeling and atmosphere and presentation for 10 of those, like 10 races in a year. And each one, like as it progressively got down the year, each one became more and more important to become the world champion.
Yeah, and we have the races already. Like we could use
Yeah.
DNC, we could use like Mugen Challenge, we can use P&B, we can use one of the races from the Asian Buggy Championships, one of the races out in Spain. You know,
Yeah, and
like
that's the other thing too is I think it would be cool to do them everywhere. So
yeah,
like yeah, like what you just said, like Asia Buggy Championships, go to Spain and then go to Australia and then back to the US and then US for the fourth race and then you go to you know Sweden or whatever. You kind of go around the globe and it
yeah,
gives like everyone something. It gives people something to follow and kind of then and that also allows what that also allows too is I think now we still have people that like, oh, my favorite driver is Ryan Mayfield or my favorite driver is Ryan Lutz or whoever, right? Whoever there's someone's favorite drivers. But when you have a series like that, you're more, I think people are more like, oh man, I've seen this guy like two races this series, three. I feel like it gives more of like an incentive to pick a favorite, if
mm-hmm.
that makes any, I don't know if that makes any sense,
No,
but
it
like when
does.
you watch Formula One or Supercross, like you're like, oh, my favorite driver is Lewis Hamilton, or mine is Max, or my favorite rider is Levi Kitchen or Deegan or Lawrence. Like, you kind of are more inclined to pick someone um, when you're following the series and you're following a plot of what you're watching. And that's what we're missing, I think, is a plot. Like we're missing in terms of your idea here. Like your idea is incorporating something to follow along with the plot, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that is important.
Yeah, and like you said, it's not going to work the first year, but if you
No,
can
and
break
it's not
even
going
the
to just
first
click,
year,
but
if you can break even the
yeah,
second year, it's gonna pick up. I'm
yeah,
I would be if I had the means, I'd go all in on it. But
yeah,
Taylor,
yeah. I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
oh
keep going, Lee.
No, actually I was done. I was just gonna
fucking right, you
say
were
the
done.
same thing again for. Yeah, I'm done.
Uh, Lee, I want to know what's your top 5 predictions for Worlds?
Um, Man, that's so tough.
Lee Setzer, Lee Setzer, Lee Setzer.
Yeah,
If I was you, this
yeah.
is what I'd be saying, but I wouldn't. That's not
I
my
mean,
guess.
too, trust me, I would,
You're
that
going
would
to
be a dream
try,
come true.
obviously. You know.
Oh, I'm for
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
gonna try. But I would say in no particular order, by the way. I'm not gonna predict like who I think's gonna win, but here's my top five that I think would be in the hunt, I think.
Yeah,
Um Canos, Ongaro, Falk, Dakota, Mayfield.
pretty solid. Hard to
Yeah,
bet against that. So
I feel like those top five are pretty much gladiators in the eight skill industry. So but you know what? Like I feel like every time someone asks me that, ask me like, oh, predict top five, I'm like, I say those names, I'm like, oh, what about this guy?
Yeah, like
But there's
Quelo,
so many good guys. Yeah, like Bruno or Orlowski
mm-hmm.
or Marcus Kirek, like the guy that just won
E-Buggy Worlds.
the
Yeah.
last two world. Yeah, it's like there's so
Or
many, and then
Fee.
you Fee. Yeah, I mean, there's so many good guys. It's so hard to like pick a top five. But
and like Mason Fuller was kind of like
Mason
the
Fuller, yeah,
American, you know, I didn't expect him to go into the
Yeah. There,
as high as he did at the last one compared to everyone else for the Americans.
there's
So
plenty of
yeah.
people that
I
have
mean,
the speed.
there's so many, and honestly, like those top 5 I named, only one of them can be fast, and Mason Fuller, Fee, Orlowski, Van Dalen, Lutz, like anybody could take those spots, and it wouldn't be surprising, like if Mason Fuller's dialed, I'm not going to be like, oh wow, I would be like, yeah, that's pretty on par with Mason Fuller.
Yeah.
So
It'd be more, oh, I'm shocked that so and so's not as fast as Mason.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
you know what I
but
mean?
but if
It'd be the
Mason
opposite. Yeah.
or anyone was top 5 at the Worlds in Q1, I would be like, man, I would be like, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. It's Mason's dialed, dude. He's good. So
Yeah, and that
yeah,
that goes back to like with the series. I truly believe there is 100 drivers in the world that are at that top level. You know, we just might not
yeah.
hear about them
Honestly,
because they are
you're not.
traveling.
Yeah, honestly, you're not that far off.
I mean, what it's like 20
But yeah,
on any given race weekend in the states. The big ones, probably
yeah,
20ish.
yeah,
I mean, the
yeah,
typical A main's separated by like what, 5 seconds?
Yeah.
So
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many. It's it's so that's what it's just so hard, man. There's so everybody is so fast, and any given event, anybody could TQ, could win, could podium, could be on a killer weekend. You know, so
For sure.
That's what makes this exciting. I think if we had one person to win all the time, it would be a little bit boring.
Mhm. Unless you were that person that's winning,
Yeah.
then it would be amazing.
I mean, it was kind of that way for a while with Mayfield.
Yeah, I'm sure when in 21
Yeah.
or 22 when Mayfield was winning everything, I'm sure he was just sitting there like,
chilling.
man, this sucks.
Sitting on his
Yeah.
contingency money.
Yeah, it's like, man, this sucks.
I hate doing this.
Yeah.
On his brand
I
new
feel
boat
like
with a big techno sticker on it.
23
or
was
Mugen at the
been
line.
kind of a little bit like that.
Yeah, something like you're probably about right, Taylor.
Yeah, 23, 24, I think Fendel's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he was probably upset at all. I think he was pretty pumped.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think it's been 10 minutes. You don't want your dinner getting cold.
no, I don't.
You want to thank all your sponsors and all that other stuff before we let you go?
Yeah. First off, just thank you to you guys for having me on here, and just thank you to everyone that supports me, and my parents and all my friends and family that just sacrificed a lot, and just always push me to do my best, and just be better each day. So thank you to everyone, and thank you to Sparko, Power Hobbies, J Concepts, ProTech, A Main, Coyote, SS Hobbies, Setzer RC Art, Ticket One, Draken, Mallory Performance, VP Racing Fuels. Yeah, just thank you to all my sponsors and everyone that always supports me. It means a lot.
Well, thank you for coming on. It was a blast.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah. It was a great time. I appreciate it, Lee.
All right. Yes, sir. Yep. And I told Alex I'll probably see you guys at the Flashpoint opener. I think me and John are gonna head over there.
The is that what they call the opener? But it's the opener
Flashpoint's
at
the
LCRC as a plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
That'll be
So-
awesome.
Yep. I plan on being over there.
Looking
We'll
forward to
see
it. I'll see you
you
at Motorama, though,
Motorama,
right?
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. I guess I'll see. Is Taylor? Are you going to Motorama?
Yeah, I'll be there doing podcast things and
Oh,
interviews
okay. Yeah, that's right.
and all
Alex,
that. So
Alex told me that yesterday.
you better be on the podium or else you're not getting an interview.
Oh, I'm going
Bitch.
for the win.
Or
You
at
got
least TQ.
second, right?
If you
And
No,
TQ
I'm
truck.
rounds.
I got second last year. It was Chase Lemieux, myself,
And
and
Buggy,
Ethan
yeah.
Mechanic. Yeah, and Buggy.
Yeah.
So I'm going for the win this year.
Good idea.
Yep.
I think the first year I went, I got like 4th or 5th, and then the last year I got second, and now I'm going for the win.
Hell yeah.
So that's my goal. Try to make it happen out there.
Alex will buy your trophy from you and put it on his wall with his Bayfield one.
Yeah, I will.
Oh,
And then a Starbucks cup.
Yeah.
Because he's got
oh,
a
do
beer
you want me
from
to save that?
Mayfield.
You want me to save that Starbucks cup I had, Alex?
Only if you
I'll
fart in
sign
it and
give
put the
to-
lid back on.
Well, it's got a hole, so it's not going to really matter.
Fucking use some CA glue. What are we doing?
But Hey guys, well, I appreciate you guys having me on here, and
Yeah.
we'll see you guys really soon. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
See you, Lee. Thanks
Have a
for
good
coming
one.
on.
See you,
Yes,
Lee.
sir.
All right, so that's gonna wrap up episode 32.
Somewhere around there.
Okay.
I forgot to.
Yeah, a little bit of complacency on our part as we took our winter break, which, like we said, maybe better. Anyways, uh, that was Lee Setzer joining us. Obviously, he left to go eat dinner, so we're gonna wrap it up. Mike, who would you like to thank?
First off, I want to thank all of you that actually sit here and listen to us ramble and talk about useless shit. It's great. We love you guys. And yeah, I'll just pass it off to these guys.
Taylor.
LCRC, Mugen Siki, and then Mike Treharn, MT Designs for the sick paint jobs. And I think that's all I got. Thanks for the viewers. Extremely humbling all the time. Every time I'm at the racetrack and you guys come up to me and say that you guys listen to the podcast and all that, like, I never imagined people would actually want to hear us three yahoos just ramble about toy cars for a little while. Like, pretty crazy. For all you guys that do listen to us, bless your heart. Clearly you guys don't have anything else better to do. I'm just kidding. Thank you. No, seriously, thank you guys.
They already thanked you guys enough, so thank you again. And quick funny story: when we were at Adrenaline, me, Scott, Lennox, Chris Rupp, we went out to that Mexican place for dinner right by the track, and we dined in, ate food, delicious. Went to leave. Scott and Chris did put together for a cash tip, and I put a slow as fast sticker with the tip. So hoping
That's cool.
to broaden the audience, but
Especially the ethnicity a little bit. Some
Yes.
big booty Latinas that listen to the podcast would be primo.
we'd love to have you on. So yeah, shout out ACS Hobbies, everything they do for us. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We are back in full swing. Thank you everyone for making us want to keep doing this for another year. So, okay, bye.
Bye.